So you guys hate to be short, you hate to be long, right? How do you dial in your distances with all of the clubs in your bag, all the way from a wedge to driver? We're gonna work on that today. We're gonna use the Garmin G80 for measurement. We're also gonna use the Nikon rangefinder. Now you don't have to have a Nikon or one of these. You can just measure it out with markers that are on the driving range itself. So make sure that you have some kind of tool to gauge the distances, but you're going to use one of these two or a combination of both to make sure your distances are good to go. Okay, so we got 3 easy steps to make sure that you're dialing in your distances. Let's go. So go ahead and grab your favorite club. It could be a 9-iron, 7-iron, 8-iron, whatever that is, and we're going to do what's called the ladder drill. So we're going to swing 50%, 75%, and 100% just to dial in exactly how far we hit one specific club to particular distances. Okay, so let's go ahead and work on that right now. So I got my Garmin out here. I also have the laser finder, and really I'm just gonna swing 50%. I got an 8-iron in my hand right now, so this should probably go about 100 yards or so. You know, and just really smooth, really just smooth swings. That's all we're looking for, just smooth swings. All right, so that was 50%. So now let me try to go about 75%. So 75%, that's 75%. Awesome. And my GPS, the Garmin, excuse me, the Garmin is showing 100 yards, then I hit at 130 yards, and now my usual 8-iron goes about 150, so this should probably go about 150. And we're not worried about left and right, we're worried about short and long. Most people end up being short just way too often. Just way too often. So that's how we got to dial these numbers in. I'm gonna hit one more 100%. Okay, so just remember with the ladder drill, 50%, 75%, and then 100%. Yep, and that's 148. Okay, so 148 on the Garmin. All right, off to the next drill. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is go to the calibration drill. The calibration drill, just gonna grab one club and we're gonna see specifically how far we hit this one club to a certain target, and we wanna be wrapped around that target. So if you hit, probably 8 balls to that one target, you should make sure that you can kind of see where your balls are kind of landing. If they're landing a little bit short of your target, then that's where your distance is, right? If they're landing a little bit longer, then you kind of get an average of all those balls, and you can really start calibrating exactly where your 8-iron or your 7-iron or your 6-iron goes. So let's go ahead and hit one of those. We'll hit a few of these and just see. So I got a marker out there at about 148, and that's where we're going to. Yep, landed that almost on top of the flag. So that was a pretty good shot. All right, and we just want to be smooth with it. Smooth as possible is really the key. Really smooth. So that one was a little to the right, but right at pin height, which is great. And then we'll hit one more just for our presentation purposes today. But you probably want to hit, probably 8 or 9 of these, probably like 10 of these, just so you can get a really good average of exactly where your ball's going. Is it short? Is it long? From that particular target. Once you get that target, now you can kind of, put it into a spreadsheet or put it in your phone like, okay, I know exactly where I hit a particular club. All right, so that's the calibration drill. Pick a specific club or, you know, a few clubs. I would go every other club through my bag and just start really getting calibrated on how far I specifically hit to a certain target. Okay, the last drill, what you want to do is you want to grab 3 different clubs, say like a 9, 8, a 7, a 7, 6, a 5, right? And you want to start getting your gapping right. Your gapping should be probably 10 to 15 yards in between each club. Okay, so between a 9 and an 8. So let's say I hit my 9 to 140. Okay, that means my 8 should be about 150 or so, you know, in that ballpark, right? 7 should be about 160 or so. Okay, so now when you go out on the course, you know, oh, I got a 150 shot. That's going to be my 8 iron, depending on the circumstance, depending on the wind and elevation and, you know, your slope and all those kind of things, right? So make sure that your gapping is really, really tight. So I would grab 3 clubs, you know, one, you know, your say for instance, your 9, your 8, your 7, and I would start hitting those and just kind of see where the gapping is. So I got my 8 right here, and I'm going to go ahead and hit this, and then I'll grab the 7, then I'll grab the 6 to kind of see what the gapping is like. Okay, so we know that my 8 goes about 148, 150. Then I'll grab my 7 and kind of see what that's looking like. Still a little early in the morning here, so still trying to get loose just a little bit. Oh, that's a good ball. Okay, so that was 161 with the 7. Okay, so that's about right. You know, 10 to 15 yard gapping is the key. All right, and then we'll go to the 6. I'll go grab my 6 iron, not my 9 iron. Remember, I made that mistake a little while ago. So we had the 8 going 148. We just had the 7 going 160. So that means this 6 iron should be in the 170-ish range. Okay, I didn't like that swing, so I'm gonna swing that again. That was 165, but that swing was bad. So let me go ahead, hit that again, and kind of just bounce around with different clubs and different sets of 3. Okay, sets of 3. Okay, so that one it's 168. So, you know, that's really not where I want to be. I'm gonna hit one more with the 6. Then we can kind of bounce around, you know, with these, right? We can go back down to the 8, see where we are again, kind of go from there. That's much better. Okay, so that's more of a real Chris Graves shot there. Yeah, so that was 171. Okay, so 171. All right, so it's super key that you guys understand the importance of distance control, understanding that if I can't control how far I hit, be it short or be it long, I'm screwed. Okay, yeah, we got to make sure we're working on left and right, you know, not too far left, not too far right, but you also have to really work hard on making sure your distance is okay. Most people, I notice when I play or out on the range or whatever, they're short. They're just short all the time, right? You're always coming up short on a hole. All right, so sometimes that's a good thing. You know, you can be below the pin and chip up. That might work for you, right? But typically, you want to be spot on with your yardages. All right, so the ladder drill, calibration drill, and then you want to make sure that your gapping is squared away. My name is Chris. Really simple tips, serious results. Chris Graves Golf. You guys take care.